The backyard golf course build rolls on. We built the 2 greens with USGA root zone mix, then we shaped and seeded them with bentgrass, and now we have the fairway and rough area seeded and sodded with some Kentucky Bluegrass. Back at the backyard golf course build, and it has been excellent weather. This is above average. It's almost hot weather right now. After tomorrow though, we are going to plummet back down to where we'd normally be. I was really hoping to have my seed germinated. I have Kentucky Bluegrass spread out over this entire fairway and rough area, and as of 5 minutes ago when I was lying in the dirt searching for some new growth, there is nothing germinated yet. I'm at about day 9 to 10 from when I started putting the seed down, so we should see something soon. If this was the summer temperatures where we had those warm nights, we'd probably see some germination now with those new elite bluegrasses. However, early on after I put the seed down, we had some really cold nights, so that would have all but slowed down the germination process. We have one more nice sunny warm day tomorrow, so hopefully that kicks it off. I'm going to do some irrigation. I got one more line here that I never did just because I couldn't bring myself to do any more irrigation lines, but there's topsoil coming tomorrow, our final loads of topsoil, which is just for this area over here and over by that shed. I just want to have it here. I'm not going to seed because I'm simply too late, having trouble getting this going. I haven't given you an update on the bentgrass greens. They look fantastic from here. That one looks so good. How good is this view? I remember standing here 5 years ago when we got this old gravel pit, and I stood here and said, you know what, this kind of looks like it could be a golf course. We dug the pond, we've leveled everything off, sloped it, shaped it, brought the topsoil in, and it is so close now. I just need some seed to germinate. I do have one push left this fall, and I want to get this sodded because the problem in the spring is that pond water comes up with all the runoff, all the snow melt, and it's going to be a pond down in here, and I can't get onto this soil for a couple months after that. So I want to put the work in now, put the time in, and get the topsoil spread down here. And I think I'm just going to bite the bullet, buy a couple more pallets of sod, and get the grass down there so that it is nice and clean and it is done next spring. I never applied starter fertilizer when I seeded, which has been about a week now. I have no growth yet, hoping with this heat I soon see some growth. I didn't want to apply right away in case we got rained out. I really want to keep the nutrients very close to the surface because that's where those shallow, short roots are going to be. Going with 16-32-6, so I have to go for a long walk. This is about 45,000 square feet, and I'm going to shoot for 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. This is the backyard area of the house that we seeded 10 days ago. We've had really good weather, but we did have some cold nights, and I'm disappointed that I have 0 germination. I was hoping to get there before this warm streak ended. This is about the last sunny day we have. Tomorrow's rainy and kind of warm, and then it just falls off a cliff. I have been looking, I have been searching, I've been lying on my stomach. It's embarrassing. I don't see any seeds popping. I really thought we'd have something. This is the Everest Kentucky Bluegrass, which is notoriously slow, and I was notoriously late seeding this year, so can't really be that surprised, but we got some really cold nights coming up in a few days, and I'm worried that could end everything. The topsoil shaping looks really good. I think this is going to look awesome next year when we get some grass here, but I was really hoping to have just a tiny stubble of some green. It's been a while since I've done a complete walkthrough of the property. It's been a lot of good working days, so I kind of just focused on working, getting things done. I've ripped down this hill here with the power rake today, so this is going to get partially sodded. This lower half pipe here, I'm definitely going to sod that to the pond because in the spring that pond is actually going to come up probably 40 feet or so, and we'll be underwater for a third of that. This is a strip of sod that I've done. I call it the berm. It wraps and snakes all the way around the pond. I love the way it looks, and it actually functions too to keep that groundwater out of the pond. These flags show just where I stopped the Everest. The Everest monostand is on this area, and then I have my golf course mix on this side of the flag. That is basically 90% Kentucky Bluegrass with a mix of cultivars in that. and 10% ryegrass, and I'm kind of shocked I haven't seen the ryegrass germinate. The bent grass looks good. I will go down to that green and I'll show you. It's a little easier to get at. I've been watering this sod heavily and it's kind of getting into my soil here and making it muddy, so I don't want to walk through that. Trying to keep this sod alive and get that rooting process going here. As it gets cooler, it's really going to like that cool weather. The fairway area, that rough hill, that's going to be 2-inch bluegrass over there when it ever germinates. It's looking good. I love the shaping that I did. I'm surprised I pulled it off with that power rake on the skid steer. Never really used that thing before, but man, does it work well. Here's where the sod berm just kind of comes to an end. I have a drain over there that sends all of the excess water to a low spot, but it's held pretty well. You can kind of see the outline of some things where it's dried out. It was actually quite warm when we did it for this time of year, but I am not going to complain about extra heat at this time of year. As we walk across the fairway, this has all been seeded with my mix, and I don't see any green specks. Unfortunately, the bunker, it turned out awesome. I'm actually glad I did it. Wasn't gonna do a bunker, had to do a bunker. You cannot have a golf course without a bunker, so I slapped some sense into myself. We put this in real quick. Looks good. Look forward to next year when I can get some grass growing around here and ripping off all of the wood forming. It should look pretty cool. Finally, the money shot, the one that everybody wants to see. It is the bentgrass green. I went with 007 XL, fairly new creeping bentgrass. It was up in 4 or 5 days, shocked me, and it's really starting to fill in. You can still see the tire tracks from the Sand Pro that I used to push that seed into the sand. The growth of this bentgrass caught me off guard. That was only seeded 26 days ago. Like, that is crazy. I never thought I'd be here. Never thought it would look this good this year. I was just trying to get some germination and get through the winter. The next step for me is to survive the winter with this, and I need fungicide. The issue with where I am in the north, there is a very good chance that I will have this much snow on top of this green. We get warm streaks where it melts, we get ice on top of it. That is going to be my problem, getting through the winter with this. I have fertilized twice with a light 3 pound per 1,000 square foot, just a general golf green fertilizer, and it's really reacted well to that. It clearly loves that root zone mix that I got, the USGA root zone mix. It's looking really good. I kind of wish I could mow it. So that is pretty much where we're at here, almost into the last week of October. Topsoil still slowly trickling in. I have 5 more loads to bring in. So I'm gonna clear this area, get some grass here, but I'm not doing anything here until next year. I've learned my lesson as I'm sitting here praying for some green up on that. There is no way I'm going to try to get seed down on this. So we'll just kind of keep this here for the winter, and we'll work on this next spring. Now that the frost has knocked down our pumpkin plant, there's a giant pumpkin that we've been growing here for fun in a pile of leaves and coffee grounds. Back there is where I want to get a tee box shooting back to the small green at the house. So I'm really gonna try to get some topsoil all the way through here, see how far it goes and see if we have enough. And then next spring, it'll kind of be this 1/3 of the property. That'll be the project in the spring, is to get some seed on that. I am going to miss these warm days. This is probably the warmest day. I don't even want to say it. It's probably the warmest day that we will have for the next 5 months. That's just the way it's going to go. By March, we might have a day that's this warm. So it was a good run. I got a lot done on the backyard golf course, more than I really thought I would. I'm kind of proud of myself that way. Things came through. It looks awesome from the air on the drone shots. We just need that Kentucky Bluegrass to germinate. Here's some of my topsoil that I've had stacked up for 2 years. If you have topsoil, do not do what I do and let it grow into a million weeds. It is just a mess, but it's really good topsoil. And that brings us back to here where I've got the last irrigation line in, and we're getting ready to put some topsoil down and get this sodded. We've had some pretty cold nights below freezing here in the last few, and that has really slowed down the grass seed. You can see the snow and the ice on the high points of the topsoil here. But we do have a bit of a green haze. I look at this so often. It is now 15 days since I put the seed down, so I'm going cross-eyed here thinking, is that a little bit of green? But there is green popping up out there. The ryegrass is up. That ryegrass, we had maybe less than 10% in our mix, but it is up probably 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch in places, so it's doing doing well, and that Kentucky Bluegrass now is finally starting to germinate. I have that small area of a monostand Kentucky Bluegrass Everest in the backyard, and that's actually up. I can use a flashlight at night. That's a really good trick if you want to see if your grass seed is actually germinating. If you go down low with a flashlight, we have really good germination on that little backyard area, and that's been down about 16, 17 days. That hit the extra 1 or 2 days of warm weather that we had last week, and that was the difference maker. So I'm hoping with 2 days of nice weather here, we get that bluegrass to pop on the golf course area, on the fairway and the rough. Everything I read says I'm too late and my grass is not going to survive the winter, but I'm gonna roll the dice here. One thing I know, I don't like betting against nature. These plants, these are tough plants, so we'll see if we can get a little bit of growth here before we get into the really cold weather. I just put an order in for 3 more pallets of sod to show up this week. I'm a little bit worried about that because it's a ton of work again, but I really want to get this area covered in sod because in the spring, there is so much groundwater here from the snow and any rains we get that this pond is actually up to here in the spring. There's fish swimming on this lawn here. So I know I won't be able to do it anytime soon in the spring. I'll probably have to wait till June or July. Then I'm dealing with the heat. So I think I'm gonna just do it. I wanna clear this out, get that soil conditioner, that power rake onto the skid steer, and I'm gonna smooth this out because the sod could be showing up in the next day or two. Up next, it's finally time to give these 2 golf greens their first mow.